Hi, Dave Boardman here, BIM Manchester. What what we've got for you on the flipped learning block is a discussion between me, Jim McLaughlin, who runs Musicport World Music Festival in Whitby, North Yorkshire, and Liz Holmes, who has been running the Knockengorroch World Ceilidh in Dumfries and Galloway in Scotland. And unfortunately, the quality, it's recorded on Zoom, the quality is very, very poor. So there is a transcript on your Moodle pages as part of the Flip Learning block, but you might as well have a look at it anyway. There's also an audio version of it, which, to be honest, is easier to understand and less annoying in terms of the quality. But these people are very important and their opinions are very important. So have a look at the transcript. Have a look at what they have to say. You can use them as references. Now you've got the transcript. We can give you a reference, and your tutors will tell you how to reference it. But they both run festivals with international artists. They both, you will see, rail against the term world music, quite rightly in my opinion. But they are involved in bringing international artists over to England and Scotland. They discuss the difficulties that the immigration people put forward to make it more difficult for some to get into this country. Liz has noticed, particularly if they're coming from, if they're Muslims or coming from Muslim majority countries, it seems to be more difficult for them to get in here. Neither of them have any idea, as do very few people, have any idea what Brexit is going to do. But they both have really interesting things to say about the importance to local culture, particularly in their cases, local musicians, of having people coming from around the world to entertain, to influence, to play with them. They both see that is really, really crucial. So try and have a look, persevere with it. I will very much understand if you just think, I can't see this anymore, the quality is so bad. In which case, have a look at the transcript and see what they've got to say. And go on their websites and have a look at their festivals. Okay, thanks. Enjoy the rest of the module. Which is happening now. Okay, and I'll introduce what we're doing and who you are. Okay, so hello everybody. Talking to students in 4 or 5 BIM colleges up and down the country. I should say the country of England. Liz, before Liz shouts at me. All we've got is Liz Holmes, who runs the Knockengorroch World Ceilidh Music Festival in Scotland, and Jim McLaughlin, who is in charge of Musicport in Whitby. So if we start with you, Jim, can you just tell us a little bit about what Musicport is? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I mean, it's an indoor festival. Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah.
It's an indoor festival that's been happening for the last, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Happening for the last 20 years. It was actually our 21st anniversary, but we did an online festival this year. And it's basically, it was what was termed, when they used to use the term, a world music festival. We have music from all around the globe. But we don't like that term anymore. It doesn't actually, it's not very helpful. It tends to ghettoize things.
I know it tends to. I feel so.
But it is. It's very much a mixture of music.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I think we've got a delay on here.
I missed that, Dave. Sorry.
World music, I think, tends to mean sort of like there's, etc. There's our music, and then there's everything else, and just putting the whole world into one word.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but very, very unhelpful. Yeah, but unfortunately, people still use the term, and it's really difficult to get away from it because I even found people that we work with very closely using it recently, and we were going, no, don't use that. But we do try and it's a broad range, but it's an indoor festival. It's in the autumn, so it has a different atmosphere. But we try and recreate the kind of feeling of an indoor festival. And maybe explains a little bit why our audience tends to be on the old side, because maybe they're the people that used to go to outdoor festivals, perhaps don't anymore, for whatever reason. But, at the same time, we do attract young people as well. So, it is a bit of a mixed age range.
It's
certainly it's a very family-friendly festival. And it's also a festival where people can come on their own quite happily. And we do have a lot of people who come on their own to the festival, which is unusual, I think. Plus a high proportion of women.
Yes, that's all good. What about?
Say my internet connection is unstable.
Oh, right. Yeah. Well, I'll see what we can do out of it with this. What about Knockingarroch, Liz? Can you hear me?
It's going to be really hard, this, isn't it?
Yeah. Shout. Talking about that wretched term, world music. We're trying to move to international music, if that's any better. The trouble with world music is people know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
I know that isn't necessarily the right way forward, but when you say what they think, whereas international music is slightly better description, we think. We're trying to avoid world music as a term because it's silly, isn't it? Silly. Just briefly, Knockingarroch, this year would have been our 23rd year of festival. Yes. This year would have been our 23rd year of festival production, something like our 34th festival. It's an outdoor greenfield festival. We were actually the first outdoor greenfield music festival in Scotland, an annual one. We in our own valley, the location and the heritage of the area is as important as the musical acts, the workshops, the etc. Family friendly, lots for children to do. We are grateful, built up over the years, a loyal following, and we are small in that our total capacity, legal capacity, is 3,000. Of which 700 to 1,000 as crew, performers, traders, non-paying visitors, but we manage. We get certain funding throughout the year sometimes, and we are proud that we're still going. But we are very keen to present international music because international music is a history and geography lesson all in one. And I know that we have, because people tell me when I manage to get out and walk down the field, how we have altered their musical tastes, and they're listening to all kinds of things they would have totally and utterly dismissed in the past. And that goes for traditional music as well, because I started as a folk music festival, but after a year or so I thought, no, extend it out. And we now are the only, apart from Celtic Connections, we are the only Scottish music festival that will feature as high a proportion of international acts as we can lay our hands on.
That's fantastic. Just wanted to just say a little bit of things about some of the issues of bringing international artists into the country over the last few years, and maybe mention the dreaded Brexit as part of that, whether you think it's going to make it worse. Jim, do you want to go first?
Yeah, I mean, it's just difficult for us bringing in international acts unless they're on a tour. We're not specifically an organisation that can sponsor them. not a sponsored organisation, and therefore we have to do it through other parties generally if we're doing that, if we're bringing them in specifically. So it's always been a bit of a challenge for us anyway, and because of the time of year we are, people aren't doing the festival circuit at that time of year. So, you know, it's always a bit of a challenge to get international acts over to Whitby in October. But, you know, we managed it. I've no idea how Brexit is going to affect it. I don't think anybody does really, because we don't know exactly what the deal's going to be in terms of border regulations and visas and things. So we're just biding our time. We have, you know, we had our lineup booked for this year, for this October. We have the same lineup plus booked for next year because we had to cancel them all, but they all agreed to come next year. We don't know how many of them are going to be affected by any new rules and regulations. You know, we're waiting for the new year to really start looking at that in detail.
Yeah. So is your experience similar, Liz?
Well, yes. I mean, we went down the line because we had 3 international artists we wanted to book. They weren't touring, and you know, we always make it difficult for ourselves. We really wanted to book these particular artists. La Dame Blanche, I don't know if you've had a Jim, from Cuba, and Philistine. Now, we applied to the Home Office for this, that, and the other. We paid our money. We went on to the certificates of sponsorship. We got our numbers. We sent them off to the artists, and they waited and they waited and they waited. I heard that La Dame Blanche, who is the daughter of the Buena Vista Social Club, one of the founders, was going to the embassy or wherever it is they go every day. And after a week, she came back in tears. They gave her no reason. They gave us no reason. We lost £1,000 over that because they also had booked a taxi from Liverpool to Scotland. Let's not go there. But that money was lost. And the Philistine was the main person was a girl from an Indonesian girl, unfortunately with an Indonesian passport, living in Brooklyn. We tried. She had to go to, I can't remember what she had to do. Again, they gave her no reasons. They kept her waiting. Where's my passport now? Oh, let me see. I think it's in. She went chasing all over the place, and in the end, they didn't come. It was a disaster, that. And I'm now meant to be renewing my COS certificates for sponsorship, and I'm thinking, do I even want to bother? I'll probably have to pay for it. And I thought, and I'll tell you one thing, the Philistine chap, the American, I think he must have had a visa or something, who was part of Philistine, actually said, I'm never going to work in the UK again because of the way my partner has been treated. I look forward to playing in an independent Scotland, which I thought was quite telling, because obviously they were treated very, very badly. You know, like, yeah, you know, it was absolutely shocking. I mean, to treat artists like that. And I think there was another one, a Syrian, was he a rapper and a perp? We tried to bring him in. There was a book festival that had booked him. They wouldn't let him in. We always think if there's a Muslim connection, they're twice as, not letting them in. Indonesia, the Cuban girl, no, that's not a Muslim country, but hey, you know, so I don't know if I even want to renew it. And as Jim says, in May and October, you don't get the international artists coming over. They basically do June, July, and August, and possibly September, when the big festivals are. So when we want somebody from abroad, we have to fall over ourselves to get them, because our festival, as is Jim's, aren't in the popular festival season, as it were. So we have had terrible problems in bringing it. As Jim says, we try and catch people when they're touring. That's when you can get them, if we can.
Absolutely. Okay.
It's not easy.
Yeah, independent Yorkshire is what we want as well, isn't it, Dave?
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. Okay, so the connection's not brilliant here, obviously. So I'll just ask you one last quick question about whether, and I know that you both have international artists and are very keen on supporting sort of local musicians as well. Do you think the bringing the two together on the same festival affects, influences the locally based local musicians, Jim?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, it's always been part of the ethos of the festival is to bring international acts in, but to get them working alongside local artists, go into schools for those international artists to go into schools and get those kids an experience that in a town like Whitby, which is culturally fairly isolated, despite all its connections via the sea to lots of foreign ports and things over centuries. It is within England. It's very isolated. It's probably as isolated as you can get. It's 30 miles to the next big town. With the North Yorkshire moors on one side of the sea. So it's got that kind of cultural isolation, and it is bringing up. The development we've seen of young musicians, particularly locally, who've then gone on to train and had experience working with those international musicians, and are now performers in their own right. It's quite remarkable the number that have actually done that. So that's one of our big, and it was always part of our ethos. I was brought up. You can probably tell I've not got a Yorkshire accent. I was brought up on the borders of Brixton, so my experience as a young man was sort of going to Brixton Market and hearing reggae and having all those kind of influences. And I didn't want our daughter to grow up in a society where she didn't, because when they go off to university or college or then they it would be a totally it might be even quite a frightening thing, all these different cultures. Which they've never had an experience of. So, I hope that's what we've helped to contribute to locally.
That's great. And what about Knockengorrock, Liz? You have international artists as well as Scottish artists and others too. And then just across from your main stage, you've got the bar stage. And sometimes you have some people going from the main stage into there to perform as well. Do you find there's a lot of mixing of the international artists and the local musicians?
Yes, we had one memorable occasion. We had the London Bulgarian Choir who did a set on our main Bowery stage with the turbans. Totally ad lib. I missed it, didn't I?
I know.
Trouble with organising.
I know. I was the stage manager at the time when they did that.
And you don't even see them, but I wish I'd seen that. They also played round the fire, the turbans, with Family Atlantica, some of them. There's off the cuff ad lib collaborations. And as for the emerging or local performers, it's always an inspiration. I feel it's an inspiration for them to see some of these high profile, highly professional acts doing their thing, because I think it gives them a bit of a boost. That's my feeling. I may be wrong, but it just thinks, oh yeah, I could be doing that. Oh yes, performance skills, this kind of thing, are so important, and they're seeing this in full flow. So yeah, we do like to mix and match it. Yes, well, we also try and get some of our main stage performers to go and perform in the Longhouse, of course. We do manage it sometimes. I can't remember who we've got, but I think the Turbans again, I think probably went in there as well. And some performers are wonderful at really wanting to be back and beyond. I know Jim will know Back and Beyond. They played in every venue we possibly had, and they stayed on the Monday to do a singing workshop. So a lot of performers do truly get themselves involved, adding to their enjoyment and to ours and our audience's enjoyment, of course. Yes. Yeah.
Absolutely. Okay, I'm gonna leave the recording there.
I mean, one of the things. Yeah.
Go on, Jim.
All right. Okay.
Were you going to say something else?
I was just going to mention that we take one of the things we started doing. Yeah, one of the things we started doing the last 5 or 6 years is taking the festival on tour, the villages, the week after the main festival. And that's been a real success of actually taking, a big band like Valden's band, a 16-piece band, into Hinderwell Village Hall. It's been quite an astonishing thing. We've actually had, these little venues absolutely packed. And you know, and that's that whole thing of actually those villages are often, you know, they don't actually get, you know, they're even more remote than Whitby is because they're, you know, out and beyond up on the moors.
Yeah.
And it's also a wonderful come down for us from the main festival to do these small gigs around. So that's been a, you know, and I think that's a way of developing the reach of the festival.
Okay. All right. Thanks. I'm going to leave it there. I'll stop the recording.